Hey everyone, welcome to the Work Time Fun podcast. I'm your coworker L, and let's get started. Alright, on today's podcast, we're going over quite a few things. We've got news from the WB or DC side, and we're of course going to go over the latest Moon Knight episode, episode 3, and also Halo. I'll briefly go over it, even though I've been talking crap about it lately. And maybe even Picard. I don't know. It's quite interesting. So, yeah, let's get to it. If you haven't seen already, there's a Stranger Things 4 trailer that came out. That's for Netflix. And that's going to actually come out, May 27th. So let's all be ready for that. That's going to be pretty cool. And May is going to be a pretty busy month. All right. And then over on WB side of the news, or DC, there's this little, opening trailer for The Batman. So a more definitive date and time. It's going to premiere on HBO Max streaming on April 18th, which is just a few days away, and at 9 a.m. apparently. So be ready to watch that if you really want to get into it. I would. I'm going to be watching that for sure. And maybe do a retake of my original, my original review, and probably do a deeper dive. Might be interesting. All right. Furthermore, if you might have known or might not have known, there's a Variety article about the new Warner Bros. Discovery. So what happened is Warner Bros. And Discovery Network, they merged or whatever. They created a new, program called Warner Bros. Discovery, I guess they're called. And the new CEO, the guy in charge, David Zaslav, so according to a lot of sources, said that they're looking at a new direction for DC. They've pretty much, for lack of better words, know that they need to step up, and that's actually good news. That means that we're gonna get, what can you say? We're gonna get maybe someone equivalent to a Kevin Feige on the Marvel side or the MCU side. And so if we have someone like that just, watches over the whole DC side of things, whether it's film, TV, comics, man, just think you could actually have all those DC characters finally getting their rightful stuff out, or all the shows and movies actually matching together, just like how Marvel does it with their stuff. I don't care about what's better, Marvel, DC. I love them both. And if this means they're able to pump out even better content, that's better for all of us. Wouldn't you agree? Alright, anyway, let's go over Halo Episode 4, Homecoming. Alright, I've been giving this series a lot of crap lately. I'll give it a shot still. Last episode, I was just in shock that, hey, alright, not only do we have a helmetless Master Chief, and now we have basically a butt-naked Master Chief. I guess, off with the helmet, off with the clothes. Anyways, this episode, a little bit less action than all prior episodes, I'd say. Probably even the least amount, I'd say, almost. Well, except for that little scene in the Planet Madrigal with Kwan storyline and Soren. But, that wasn't even much either. So, I think there's a little bit more story building in this episode, and, more about learning about what those artifacts are for the Halo, what they eventually find out. And then, alright, let's just get some gripes out of the way. I just can't get past the fact that Master Chief removes his helmet so much, so effortlessly. It's like, dude, why even bother having a suit on? Why even bother, putting a helmet back on, taking the helmet off, putting it back on? What's the point? Just keep it off or keep it on. For the times that he does take off the helmet, what's the point? There really is no point. And okay, that's more like a preference thing, I guess. And I don't know, because it bothers me because you had the show like The Mandalorian. We didn't have to see his face that often. I mean, it happened only in really, special moments when it needed to happen. And that was great. And the rest of the time, it's just a helmet. We get it. We know who the guy is, and he keeps the helmet on. Cool. He still is able to portray what we need to know out of that character, the Mandalorian character, with the helmet on. So I'm sure they could do the same thing with Halo, with Master Chief. Okay, end of gripe there. Also, what's the deal with Kai? I mean, she's basically copying what Master Chief is doing. She's removing her little emotional chip thing that was in her back. Same thing as Master Chief from the prior episode. I mean, is she also going to start being more free and open, just like Master Chief? I guess that's where this is headed. Furthermore, on characters that don't matter, what about Kwan Ha? Huh? I guess there's a little bit more to her than just being the last person of her clan or of her group, I guess. I guess she wasn't. There were still more refugees or rebels, I guess, that were in hiding, only to find out that they're no longer want to be rebels. They're just gonna, bend to the will of whoever the guy there is in charge of Madrigal now. But for that aunt that died, protecting Kwan, or just she faced the assassin. She told Kwan Ha that there's more to their family history and their history on that planet. And just as I kind of suspected, or a lot of other people suspected about Kwan Ha, man, they're gonna make her have a bigger storyline. And I don't know, man. Are we gonna make this into Halo with Kwan Ha as another major character here? What's this gonna be about? I guess we'll see. Maybe she becomes a future Spartan. That's probably the only reason I think that'd be acceptable. She, after everything that's happened, she lost her own family, and then it's just her. Then she's like, all right, I want to become a badass too. And learning from Master Chief, she becomes, another Spartan herself. Hey, there you go. That's what makes it more worthwhile, I'd say. And then back to Master Chief. Apparently, Dr. Halsey was there in his hometown, or his home planet, when he was a young boy. So was she grooming him ever since he was young? Just kidding. All right, that was going the wrong direction there. But you know what I mean, though. Is that a suppressed memory, or is that something not true? I'm pretty sure it's a suppressed memory, since that's what's been going on there. Since Master Chief removed all those inhibitors and whatever, so he's able to get a better glimpse of what's going on from his memories. And then that's what helped them get to that other artifact, or that other cave, or whatever, to find that other artifact that Master Chief found when he was a young kid. And so we'll see what happens. I mean, I think the plan for Dr. Halsey is, okay, let his emotions go free so he can find out all these things. But once he finds out enough stuff, then of course try to use Cortana to get control of Master Chief again. But of course that's not going to work out, and Master Chief's just going to roam free again. Or maybe he'll play around, or he'll play coy and pretend he's under control, just so that they don't try to arrest him again. We'll see. All right. Now let's jump into Moon Knight episode 3, The Friendly Type. So I thought this was a really cool episode. I mean, we got a lot more Moon Knight action when that popped up, and kind of funny how a little back and forth between Mark and Steven, and apparently maybe a third personality. Yeah, because when they're jumping a little ahead here, but there's a moment when Mark or Steven, Mark and Steven, they're both fighting off these guys over there in Egypt, and they're trying to find Arthur Harrow, so they're kind of roughing up these guys. And in between, like, blacking out and stuff, Mark thinks it's Steven does take over at times, and then Mark takes over again. But then there's a moment where both of them say, what did you do? Steve, what did you do? It's like, me? What did you do, Mark? And it said, I didn't do it. But then before they can act or anything, then they have to pay attention to something else, so it never gets addressed. And that leads you to believe, okay, there's a third personality that pops out. Of course, in the comic books, Moon Knight, or Mark Spector, sorry, he does have 5 personalities. So there's Steven, Mark, and I think the next one might be Jake, according to a lot of people on comic books and different things out there. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. Another theory that I heard, possibly, is that what if it's just Khonshu taking over? He's taking those little moments where, okay, it's in between Mark and in between Steven, and he just wants to get things done, so he just takes over. That's another possibility. We'll see. But it's cool. So in the beginning, you get this chase. Well, it doesn't really start at the very, very beginning. In the very beginning, you get Layla's little intro scene, which is cool because you get a little bit of backstory about her. That her dad was an archaeologist, and she learned this kind of craft about, making fake passports and stuff from this lady. So she's got this kind of, interesting past herself. She's almost kind of like a Robin Hood. She steals artifacts from those who've stolen it in the black market and returns them. And, keeps some for herself to make some money to support her efforts. Anyway, so she's got a few skills of her own. That's good to see. And that's how, I guess, her and Mark kind of, got together in that kind of aspect. Well, we're probably going to see a little bit more of that. This episode kind of alludes to that there's some history there that we got to uncover. And then we get into Mark Spector. He's chasing down these guys to try to find out where Arthur Harrow is hiding out. And you get to see a lot of skills as Mark Spector himself, and not just Moon Knight. So this may lead to the fact that the next episode, he may not have the Moon Knight powers because of what happens at the end, which we'll get into. And so you get to see that, okay, Mark does have some skills on his own because he is a mercenary, so of course. And then the cool thing is that, I don't know if it's cool, but just the fact that they keep switching back and forth in this episode. I think more along the lines when it got to the fight when they were the Mr. Mogart, which is the, I don't know if he's an arms dealer or just someone who buys artifacts and stuff. But then when Layla and Mark Spector connect and then try to have to find that Senfu sarcophagus in order to figure out where Amit's tomb is, then they go to that Mr. Mogart guy to find Senfu's sarcophagus for the clues. And he's also, a few weeks back, there was news about the actor in Moon Knight that passed away. I was like, wow, who's this guy? No, we don't see him until finally this episode. And if you see towards the end of credits, mid-credits or whatever, you see, in memory of Gaspard Ulliel, the actor who played that guy. So that's unfortunate. I don't know how big of a role this guy's going to have. Maybe that'll be it, just this episode. Who knows? We'll see. Wasn't too much anyways. So the cool thing I like, going back to this, is, when Steven, he doesn't like all the fighting. He just wants to say, hey, calm down, everyone. Let's just settle this as, gentlemen or whatever. I forgot what he said. But then as soon as shit hits the fan, then he's like, all right, Mark, you take over the body. I thought that was so funny because he realized, okay, they're in deep shit. They need to stop these bad guys from just hurting him. So he lets Mark take over. So it's cool. And then they have the moment okay, they had that little map thing from the sarcophagus, but Mark doesn't know the brainy stuff. So he's like, all right, Steven, go ahead, take over. Figure this thing out. And then Steven's like, all right, let's do this. And he figures out how to make that map's constellation sting. And then, now this part, this is trippy because this has, this could have implications bigger than just this episode or bigger than just this show. So to get the constellations, they needed the night sky to match what was on the Senfu's sarcophagus clue thing. Only problem is that was 2,000 years ago, and the night sky is different today than it was, all those thousands of years ago. So, Khonshu, knowing that he's going to be imprisoned, turned into stone if he does anything again to alert their presence or make some kind of weird thing happen on Earth because of him, he allows Steven to use their powers combined together in order to change the night sky to match 2,000 years ago, so that they can get the constellation to match on that map thing they have. Alright, so they get the map to match the night sky, so they get their thing. However, in the process, they show like everyone else in Cairo or Egypt freaking out about the night sky, like tripping out, spinning like it does. And, it leaves you wondering, is this happening just there, or is it happening everywhere? It's like the opposite side of the world is a sun in a daytime just kind of spinning through, or is it more localized just to Egypt, like this kind of visual thing? Also, is it just visual, or is it physically happening with the stars getting aligned in the night? I don't know. Maybe it might just be visual, especially since, Khonshu is just a visual in Mark or Steven's head. But then again, everyone was seeing this happening, so there's a little bit more to it. Kind of like the eclipse that Khonshu made happen, which of course is what brought them to the whole Ennead group, which was interesting. I mean, there's supposed to be 9 of them, like how Steven always, corrects. Oh, there's supposed to be 9 in the Ennead. I guess the Egyptian gods who are in control, or in, I guess, the ruling party of all the gods, Egypt gods or whatever. But there's only a few of them, so where was the rest? Who knows? Anyways, so Khonshu already knew that he was going to get imprisoned or turned into stone, he said. And before he disappeared, he made sure to tell Steven, hey, make sure to let Mark know to free me, alright? So, there's a little clue into the next episode there. And yeah, we're going to see how much we're going to get no Moon Knight action next episode. Or will we? Yeah. Either way, it's pretty cool. I overall, this has been a good series. I mean, it's, how can I say? It's good in a different way. I'm still edging Loki over all these episodes, just because Loki was more fantastical and just the whole, like, okay, this is really deep into what we expect out of Marvel. In Moon Knight, it's kind of like, I feel like it could be just, a non-Marvel show. It could just be a separate show on its own. In a way, I'm thinking, it's almost like Deadpool. How Deadpool exists, Marvel or Fox universe, but it was always its own thing. It was separate, and it could exist separately while yet existing in those Marvel or Fox, movie show era. That's how I feel Moon Knight is, or at least the way that they made this show, because it doesn't exactly fit in any particular timeline, time frame. It just exists. So, I mean, that makes it cool, because it allows Marvel or whoever to just plug it in wherever it needs to be. So you could see that as a good or a bad thing. I mean, because the continuity could be plugged in anywhere, but then you kind of lose the feeling of like, okay, this doesn't connect with anything, so it kind of loses that. Oh well, maybe this is just the one series, that's why, and then it's going to branch off into the movies. So Moon Knight's not going to have another season, like a season 2 of Loki. It's just going to be this one miniseries, and then he's going to branch off to the movies. So yeah, we'll see. So yeah, it's a good show. Enjoying it so far. Can't wait for the last few episodes. Alright, we've got quite a bit on this episode today, and yeah, hey, I hope you all enjoyed this. I'm going to cut it short. I'll probably do more episodes over the weekend, or plug in a little bit more, because I have been watching a lot of shows, so definitely want to talk about all those. So anyways, that's it for me. I hope you all enjoyed listening to this podcast. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me. So until next time, have a fantastic day.